Learning target, we're going to be solving equations in learning target 5. So skip the top box, look at the bottom here. Yesterday, or before, sorry, we looked at things in standard form. Y equals x squared minus 2x minus 8. Here's an example of today's problems solving an equation. What's different? What's the difference from 2 days ago to now? The y is 0, and that's the key to unlocking this whole target. The y is 0. Where do you see y values that are 0 on a xy coordinate plane? Where would you see a y value that's 0? On the x-intercept. On the x-axis. That's why the picture at the top here, the type of answers you can get one answer if it crosses once. You can get 2 answers if it crosses twice, or no answer doesn't cross. Some of the answers are nice and pretty, 2, 5, -1 and 6, but some are decimals. The integers are easy to find. The decimals are the ones that are going to take the calculator to find. Okay, for now. We'll have other ways to solve them later, just like we had substitution, elimination, graphing, all kinds of ways to solve systems. We'll have to solve. Okay, this is just the first. So here we go. I'm talking a lot about these problems. Going to be pushing a lot of buttons, so I've typed them up for you, most of what I'm saying out loud. So we're not going to read this, but it's there in case you have to look back. Okay. So number 1, the same one we were just looking at, solve 0 equals x squared minus 2x minus 8. You just said it's where it crosses the x-axis. So we're going to take our calculator and graph y equals x squared minus 2x minus 8 and take a look at that picture. We're going to look for the x-intercepts. Where does it cross the x-axis? So x squared, go to y equals, graph x squared minus 2x minus 8. And then there's the picture. What does it look like the answers are? Crosses twice. Looks like -2. Yeah, -2 and 4. Now, can you with 100% certainty say that the answer is 4 and not 3.99? Not just by looking at this, you can't. Which is why we're going to look at the table. Because if the table says 4, 0, which let's look, the table says at x value 4, you get a y value 0, then the answer is 4. Okay? At -2, let's go up there and scroll to -2. Yeah, it also says 0 for y. Meaning, if you plug in x equals -2 or x equals 4, you will get 0. And I'll prove it with 4. I'm going to plug in 4. 4 squared is 16. Minus 8 minus 8. That gives you 0 on both sides. So in other words, when you plug in a 4, you get 0. It solves the equation. All right, so those were nice and pretty answers, integers, -2 and 4. Let's look at an example where they aren't integer answers. They're going to be decimals. Okay? So this is where the calculator comes in. Go back to y equals, clear out the old one, and now let's solve -x squared minus 2x plus 5 equals 0. -x squared minus 2x plus 5, and then hit graph. If you had to guess, what would you say the answers are? If you had to guess. Somewhere between 1 and 2, what would you call that decimal? 1.5-ish? Okay. What about the other one? -3.5-ish? Something like that? Okay. Keep those numbers in your mind. I want to get as exact as I can. And this calculator has a software program that will get really, really close. I mean, as many decimals as you want. Okay? So let's focus on the -3.5. The answer is about -3.5. So we're focusing on that one and that one only. Hit the following buttons, okay? Go to Second Calc. Second Calc. That's the trace button. To get to the blue calc, second trace. Okay? Now the options, value, 0, minimum, maximum, we're going to use all of them eventually. But right now we're finding where this function has a 0 where the y value is 0. So go to the second. Either hit down and enter or hit the number 2. And a cursor pops up. And a question pops up at the bottom. Left bound. You're about to set a search window to tell the calculator, look between here and here and find me a 0. Look between this spot, and this spot and find a 0. So the cursor, it's blinking. I'm thinking of that number negative 3.5. I can't find them both at the same time. I can only. So I'm thinking about the negative 3.5. Is the cursor left of negative 3.5? No. So hit left arrow until it is. Hit the left arrow and watch that cursor follow the parabola until it is left of negative 3.5. Would you consider negative 4.042553 left of negative 3.5? Then hit enter. As soon as you do, it asks you another question for right bound. Is the cursor currently blinking right of negative 3.5? No. Then hit the right arrow until it is. Hit the right arrow till you're somewhere in this vicinity. Negative 2.5 is definitely right of negative 3.5. And set your right bound. What you've just done, do you see the arrows at the top of the screen? You've set a search window from here to here. You're telling the calculator, find that 0, find where it crosses the X. I don't know why it asks you to. So because if you hit enter one more time, it will just tell you the answer. So hit enter one more time, and that's the 0. We were really close with negative 3.5. With those decimals, I'd probably go with negative 3.45. All right, so negative 3.45 is one of the two answers. X is approximately negative 3.45. That's not exact. That's a guess. It's a good guess, a good estimate to two decimals, right? Quadratic formula, completing the square, factoring, these other things we're going to do down the road. To solve these, we'll get exact answers. That's not exact. It's an estimate. All right, now we got to find the other one. The notes that I typed up for you, the directions down here, step 1, step 2, etc., that just walked you through how to find the one we just found. I didn't type up the notes to find the other one, okay? But now our focus shifts. We got to find the other answer. It's about 1.5, somewhere around 1.5. So go back to second count, 0. Second count. Hit the 0 option, so go to number 2 and hit enter. Your cursor, if you just did this, is like I did, it's going to pop up near the first x-intercept. I like to hit the right arrow just a couple of times to get away from the other intercept, just to get away, just in case. And then I start thinking, all right, is my cursor 1.5? Yeah, so hit enter. Enter. It's not right of it, so hit the right arrow until you cross 1.5. So you'll be below the x-axis, but don't start thinking like that. Don't start thinking left bound is above and right bound is below. It's not a left is up and right is down. It's a left is left, right is right. Okay? Enter twice. So the other 0, 1.45. And even earlier this morning, I can't explain it. I really can't. I don't know how this thing works. Some of you are probably saying e to the negative 12 or e to the negative 11 right now. Maybe even it's saying negative 1 e to the negative 12 on that y value. I don't know why it does that, but when it does, what does e to the negative 12 stand for? Scientific notation. Move the decimal 12 times to the left. It's talking about 0. Okay? So I don't know why it does it sometimes. This same calculator, this simulator, this morning said e to the something. And now it's saying 0. But anyways, the answer 1.45. X is approximately 1.45. All right? So those, again, aren't exact, but they're really close, 2 decimals. And they're just buttons to push on the calculator. All right, I'll go ahead and stop the video. In class, I'm going to offer here to do any of these 5 problems down here at the bottom of your homework. If you want to do them together, we can.